For some people, the existence of others just bothers them, and that sort of confuses the hell out of me. Like, can I just exist? Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I don't usually make voiceovers for my videos, but for this particular video I thought it'd be important to do so, just to bring my message across much clearer with a lot of nuance and tonality. And just as someone who's mixed race, my experiences with sort of seeing Asian hate happening around me and my thoughts on the matter. I want to point out that everything said in the video are my personal experiences and will for sure be different for everyone. If anything said in this video offends you or seems quite inconsiderate, please let me know in the comments so I can learn and grow, as can the rest of the viewers and people reading the comments. So, unless you have been living under a brick, I'm certain that you have come across the rise in Asian hate crimes, not only in America, but all over the world. And while this has been around for many years, it is only being exacerbated and brought into light due to the pandemic that we're all dealing with. And as a mixed race woman of color, I'm Dutch and Kenyan, I felt the need to stand up and do something about it because I have experienced microaggressions, misogyny, and racism myself, and I'll leave that for another video, but for this video in particular, I've tried to divide my sort of random thoughts and ideas into sort of semi-related sections, so whatever I'm saying does not end up looking like the mess that is inside my brain. So this video will be divided up into various sections, sort of going through my thoughts on the current issue. While there has been a rise in hate crimes in America, I think the first violent instance I came across happening in the Netherlands was when a Dutch-Korean boy named Y was kicked in the face and called these horrible racial slurs, this all the while being caught on camera by the perpetrators themselves. And the most striking thing was that his friends sitting with him in the park simply looked at him and didn't protect him while he was being abused by these horrible teenagers. And I mean, if I were in that circumstance, I would have definitely, and if this happened to my friend, I think I would have definitely gotten angry and in some sort of way protected or shielded my friend from the attackers. But maybe his friends were frozen and sort of in shock, but still not doing anything and just watching it happen. It was kind of a bizarre thing for me to see, especially since it made the national news and it was all over these media outlets. It was truly horrifying to see it. And throughout this pandemic, I've been reading a lot of these articles and just sort of trying to make sure my friends are okay, because I have a couple friends from China, from Taiwan, and just making sure they're alright in all of this. In addition, growing up when watching Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, Asian characters were only represented as a couple of things, either the awkward nerd, the obnoxious loud kung fu master, or a stiff store owner, the immigrant who can't speak perfect English, among many other things, all used as comic relief, which was truly disrespectful, and I never really understood this. I think that comes from a place where I never saw sort of diverse or multifaceted representation of people who looked like myself. So at a very young age, I was very aware of, I guess, diversity and the importance of having diversity, whether it be in movies and TV shows or just the media in general, and sort of the inclusion you feel. I would always be so happy if there was a lead actor or actress that looked like me, and I'd always have this thought of like, finally someone that looks like me, some sort of representation. And I can imagine this was the same feeling, or this same feeling sort of arise for Asians or Asian Americans, how there was such a lack of representation growing up. And in addition, I always saw Asians around me who were much more diverse and multifaceted than what was perpetuated on TV as racial stereotypes. And this led to a lot of racist jokes, especially growing up in a Dutch school. Kids would make these jokes that will be for the next section of this video. But as a consumer of Asian culture and cuisine, I just felt it was so wrong for me to stay silent and not speak up, especially since I listen to K-pop, I watch K-dramas, I get inspired by Japanese design, I love eating Indian food, drink boba, practice meditation, yoga, and Buddhism. All of these parts are an array of Asian cultures, and I cannot partake in all these activities without taking a stand against anti-Asian sentiment and hate. So, growing up in Dutch culture, I have experienced my fair share of racism as a mixed race person, but I've also witnessed racism and hate towards my Asian classmates. And from singing very racist songs to pulling up the corners of their eyes, I've seen it all. These songs were targeted towards Chinese people, towards Japanese people, and they were most likely derived from Asian stereotypes represented in the media, because where else would young kids get this from? You know, what teaches kids these things? It might be their families, but I think the media has so much power in raising kids, and it just shows how skewed our perspectives can get from a very young age simply by the media. And even within my own family, I have had to deal with anti-Asian sentiment, similar of how Asian families have to deal with anti-Blackness within their families. And this is all due to the coronavirus. And, you know, I've seen a sort of very skewed perception of Chinese people within my family, related to the coronavirus, and that they're to blame for all of this. Whenever this is brought up or discussed, in these cases, I always make sure to make myself heard and dismiss these sort of short-sighted, very stereotypical and plain out hurtful comments made by my own family, who deal with racism almost on a daily basis, so they should kind of be the last people to sort of stereotype Chinese or stereotype any type of Asian for that matter, only because of the coronavirus, because they have been in similar positions as Asians and Asian Americans are in now, and instead of targeting them, instead of going against them, there should be an opportunity to find solidarity between the two groups and sort of uplift each other, because that's what this is all about. The main target is, I guess, white supremacy, and if we go in there divided, we won't win. We have to overcome this in unity together. And in addition, I feel like all K-pop stans have heard this phrase, but I've been told many times by my family to stop listening to my quote-unquote Chinese boys, referring to K-pop idols, and this further proves how Asians are sort of seen as a monolith, and completely ignoring the rest of Asia, as in only focusing on East Asia. And this perception really needs to change. I've had a lot of East Asian and South Asian friends who have expressed the underlying pressure that comes with being an Asian in relation to academic performance, and being questioned by other classmates, how did you fail that test? You're Asian. Like, what the fuck? Being Asian does not necessarily equate to being smart or academics, and this put a lot of pressure on them, and they always came to me sort of anxious or upset that they failed the test or they got a very low mark. I felt very helpless in those instances. So as for my art prints, I wanted to illustrate the importance of solidarity between the communities. Everyone's experiences are different, and we cannot deny that. But our shared struggle is what should be the catapult for action and greater change. Therefore, I depicted 3 people sort of demonstrating for change, demonstrating for a more inclusive, more diverse, and more accepting culture and community that we should all strive for. The second one is, can I just exist? This phrase has been on my mind recently because for some people, the existence of others just bothers them, and that sort of confuses the hell out of me. Like, can I just exist? Like, you just mind your business, I just mind my own. We all exist, we're all valid, we're all allowed to be here. So can I just exist? And the third one is a portrait of a young Asian man with all these phrases that I've been hearing around me in relation to the issue. Kind of like anti-Asian hate, stop the hate, all these phrases. And I wanted to make this sort of composition, this poster that honestly anyone can use at protests, to share on social media, to keep this conversation going, because it's an important one. And a lot of people have lost their lives, a lot of elderly have lost their lives, and a lot of these cases are going unreported. And it is so vital, it is so important that people speak up, and that these attackers, these perpetrators, are being punished for, honestly, the violence they are causing and the disruption to society. It's simply disgusting, and they should be held accountable for their actions. So I'm not an American, I've never been to America, but I feel like the issue faced there is universal, and I could definitely relate to some of the experiences, and I can sort of step into the shoes of what Asian Americans are feeling right now. And in these situations, I'm often so lost and confused and sort of helpless on what I should do, and specifically how much I should do. There's this debate of, how much should I post on social media? How much should I read up on? How much should I donate? Or how many petitions should I sign to sort of prove that I'm not racist? And the whole discussion about performative activism and the issues with that. So I'm often scared that I'm not doing enough, not reposting enough, not sharing enough. But if I can say something through my craft, through my passion, which is art and design, and use that to fuel and continue the conversation, then I will do that. It's always important to be open and educate yourself and listen to the experiences of people who are being the victims of any type of hate and prejudice. And lastly, I encourage all artists and creators, whether it be illustration, film, music, to step up and use their talents to raise awareness and stand in solidarity with the Asian community. There is still so much to be said, and there are so many experiences that I've come across, but I think I'll leave it for now for this video. Lastly, I'd like to say everything that I looked at, everything that I read, everything that I've watched in relation to this current issue, I have links down below, so I highly encourage you to read up on those, watch up on those videos, because they are highly informative. And I am continuing to look out for new articles, new news stories, and simply educate myself and the people around me about this issue. So everyone out there, please stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.